Our News is brought to you by Alive.
Believe in best.
Coming up tonight on Our News, assistance for displaced shantytown residents, why the government is extending the Haiti travel ban, plus dozens line up for a second jab. Welcome to Our News and thanks for joining us. I'm Christina Dragovich. Topping news tonight, government is extending assistance to those people affected by the demolition of shantytowns on New Providence and Abaco, according to the Social Services Minister. As he tells our Berthany McDermott, this is considered an emergency situation.
Shantytown residents affected by demolition exercises will be eligible to receive housing assistance regardless of their status, according to Social Services Minister Frankie Campbell. His comments follow demolition exercises on Abaco and an announcement by Works Minister Desmond Bannister that a similar exercise will begin on New Providence soon.
There are emergency situations that set aside the whole question of status. So based on the urgency of the crisis, certain procedures are set aside to save lives. Depending on the mildness, for lack of a better word, of the situation, then there are qualifying categories.
Now, the Social Services Minister also giving the assurance that shantytown residents that may not be Bahamian citizens have no reason to fear and are urged to come in for assistance if needed.
Social Services is not the Department of Immigration. Social Services is concerned about the humanitarian need of an individual. That is our concern. Other departments will do their job, and I'm sure they won't be impeded. But we have a job that is separate and apart from that.
The Ministry of Works led the charge in demolishing 45 structures in an Abaco shantytown in late April. In a statement Friday, human rights experts said the forced evictions and demolitions would force residents into homelessness and extreme poverty. PLP leader Philip Davis also opposes the move, saying government should wait until the judicial review on the demolition of shantytowns is complete. Amid the ongoing demolition debate, Campbell said it is his ministry's role to step in during tough times.
Whenever there is a crisis, be it man-made or natural, that results in a humanitarian need, the Ministry of Social Services, in particular the Department of Social Services, kick in to meet those needs based on available resources.
He also gave the assurance that Abaco shantytown residents won't be left out.
Nothing that we in the Ministry of Social Services do is New Providence centric. So all the services that we offer here in New Providence, because this is where we are headquartered, we have agents in all of our family islands that offer the same services with the same qualification.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Berthany McDermott.
Well, government's travel ban for travelers coming from Haiti directly or indirectly remains in effect for another 30 days. The initial ban was implemented back in February and was due to expire today. A statement from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs says the Bahamas government found it necessary to take this measure given the continuing uncertainties regarding the management of the COVID-19 pandemic in Haiti. The government also remains concerned that the government of Haiti still has not accepted the AstraZeneca vaccine offered under the World Health Organization's COVAX facility and has still not put an alternative measure for vaccination in place. The ministry says this move to extend the ban was deemed necessary based on the advice of health officials. Well, New Providence residents lining up this morning to get their second dose of the AstraZeneca vaccine. As Jillian Gray tells us, some of them are eager to take advantage of perks for the fully vaccinated. Jillian Gray reports.
I can't social distance from my family. I've got a 90-year-old mom. How long should I social distance from her? So I have to get everyone vaccinated, and I recommend it.
Dr. Harold Munning stood in a line that bobbed and weaved down the sidewalk in the sweltering heat. He says he missed the notices about the computer glitch and was turned around yesterday, but hoped to get his shot today.
I mean, the vaccine isn't perfect, but it's better than getting COVID. So I wouldn't be surprised if in a year or two the authorities say, oh, you need to come back for a booster, or this was developed with this strain and now it's London or it's Johannesburg. that's all right. I'll be here for that.
Fully vaccinated individuals will be able to dine indoors, not wear masks at an indoor event with other fully vaccinated people, and travel within the Bahamas without a COVID test.
Incentives may help those people who are undecided, and I think that's all well and good. But the overwhelming motivation for me is to ensure that I am protected, that therefore I am able to protect my family.
Roger and Iva Mae Simmons have been married for 51 years and have some big plans now that they're fully vaccinated.
We travel a lot, so we're now we're thankful to the Bahamas government for allowing some things to happen.
Do you know where you're going first?
North Carolina.
North Carolina. Your family up there?
Yes.
2 children, my mother and a sister.
Now, some people did express that they had hiccups in scheduling, but for the most part, everyone said the second time around was just like the first, smooth.
Number one, I couldn't get on the site, so I'm walking in. I've finished my 7th week, and therefore I hope they will accept me when I arrive at the door.
I find there were a lot of people. It was not as smooth as the first time, but it went smooth. It was smooth. It was long lines, but okay, because we was here from about 9:45, and we just got served.
I think it was most impressive.
Most
impressive.
Vaccine hesitancy remains high among some groups, but there's no need to be afraid, according to these residents.
My advice is that the best solution is a vaccine.
You look at the statistics and the data, obviously there are multiple benefits in being fully vaccinated. It's a high risk if you're not.
Reporting for our news, I'm Jillian Gray.
PAHO officials warning countries not to relax COVID-19 restrictions at this time, even if they are making progress with vaccination efforts, stressing there are still too many unknowns when it comes to the transmission of the virus, even among those who have been fully vaccinated. Jasmine Brown reports.
Pan American Health Organization officials addressed the issue after our news sought their views on tourism-dependent countries like the Bahamas loosening travel restrictions for vaccinated tourists.
It is imperative to act with utmost caution. At present, with the evolution of the spread of the virus across the Americas and in Europe, the unknowns related to the impact of COVID-19 vaccines on the transmission of the virus, and the challenges related to accessing the vaccine.
On May 1st, the Bahamas eased restrictions for fully vaccinated visitors who can now forego COVID-19 RT-PCR tests. Vaccinated passengers do not have to take the 5-day antigen test either. Vaccinated Bahamians are now able to travel to the Family Islands without the added expense of an RT-PCR test. Speaking via a translator, PAHO Director of Health Services Dr. Ciro Ugarte says PAHO and the WHO simply cannot recommend that vaccinations become a passport for travel.
The recommendations both from WHO and PAHO are that vaccination be not a requirement for international travel or transit or resumption of economic activities. Let me repeat that protection measures that have proved to be effective need to be maintained at all levels.
In addition to uncertainty about the ability of fully vaccinated people to transmit COVID-19, PAHO officials also cited limited vaccine availability, the circulation of more contagious COVID variants, and a global shortage of crucial supplies like oxygen.
There is still much that we don't know about this virus, including its threshold for herd immunity. Would it be 70, 80, 90%? We don't know. And this is especially as several different vaccines are in use. We will likely have a better picture once more real-life data from countries that achieve high immunization coverage when that data becomes available.
Reporting for our news, I'm Jasmine Brown.
Well, another hot and humid day in the capital. Greg Thompson is in the Weather Center with the latest.
Thanks, Christina, and good evening, everybody. In our first segment of weather, take a look at our current conditions outside our studios after warm day temperatures. Still warm out there, 77 degrees outside our studios, with our southeasterly flow at 6 knots, and your feels like temperature still at 77 degrees around the area. Satellite view around the Bahamas right now. We have some showers and thunderstorms popping up across the northwest Bahamas, courtesy of a little bit of a disturbance across that area. That southeast southerly flow still bringing in those warm air. We expect those thunderstorms and shower activity to diminish as the evening goes on. That's your first look at weather. Your extended forecast is still to come.
Still to come, should the government get a pass due to Hurricane Dorian and the pandemic? Plus, a Grand Bahama man charged in connection with a tragic incident on that island. Stay with us.
I am an overcomer.
I am an overcomer. I am an overcomer.
And you? You are an overcomer. I know because you have endured and persevered through so many of life's biggest challenges.
Join us for stories like yours. Stories of incredible strength, courage, and survival. Every Wednesday at 7 p.m. right here on RTV.
Journey TV.
Journey TV.
We share
life's truths.
Should government get a pass for its unfulfilled election promises due to the COVID-19 pandemic and Hurricane Dorian? Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis says disaster is the reason his government hasn't accomplished more. But what do voters think? Jared Higgs hit the streets to find out.
Members of the public are offering mixed reactions to whether the government deserves a pass due to Hurricane Dorian and the COVID-19 pandemic.
No, I don't think they should get a pass because right now people still suffering. And they ain't really doing nothing to support the people.
Or the Prime Minister, I guess, they never had the opportunity to face what he had faced. You know what I mean? And I feel like he should have a pass.
On Monday, Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis told reporters that his government lost 3 of its 4 years to disaster due to Hurricane Irma in 2017, Dorian in 2019, and the pandemic in 2020. Opposition leader Philip Brave Davis accusing him of blame storming instead of brainstorming.
The pandemic, the hurricanes are no excuse for their incompetence, their arrogance, their insensitivity, and lack of vision.
Hurricane Dorian devastated Abaco and Grand Bahama as the most powerful and most deadly storm in modern Bahamian history. The COVID-19 pandemic brought unprecedented job losses and health challenges for the country. But critics say unforeseen challenges are part of leadership. On social media, one user wrote, "When you run for these kinds of offices and faced with hardship, how are you crying and pointing fingers?" Another user who sees things differently said, "The Minnis administration didn't get to do most of the things they wanted because of several blows back to back." Other members of the public chimed in saying they didn't accept Dr. Minnis's explanation.
I just feel as if they shouldn't get a pass because a lot of people are still suffering. You see, all kind of things coming up, all kind of other things coming up. I don't think they're doing a good job at all.
Making excuses isn't good enough.
Meanwhile, this woman sympathized with the government.
Because nobody was prepared. It did a lot more damage than anybody would have think. I think it was one of our worst hurricanes ever that to strike the Bahamas.
This retiree was happy with Minnis's handling of the pandemic, but she questioned whether the excuse was good enough.
I don't see it as loss. Yeah, it may deter you from something, but then if the plans were there, at least they could have been forward, say, this is what I would have done if it had not been, rather than saying I lost.
Reporting for our news, I'm Jared Higgs.
Well, over on Grand Bahama, 45-year-old Harry Bevins was charged before Magistrate Carlton Smith today on 2 counts of killing in the course of dangerous driving. According to police reports, the accident happened on December 16, 2020 on Grand Bahama Highway. A champagne-colored GMC Yukon was traveling east when the male driver, who was allegedly driving at a high rate of speed, attempted to overtake another vehicle but lost control and overturned. Police say an 11-year-old girl died at the scene and a 27-year-old man passed away on March 27, 2021. 3 others were seriously injured in the accident. In court today, Bevins pleaded not guilty to both charges and was granted bail in the amount of $4,000 with 1 suretor on each count. He will return to court on August 3rd for trial. And the World Health Organization says it is now seeing a plateau in COVID-19 cases across Europe and the Americas, two areas hardest hit by the virus. WHO Director General Dr. Tedros Ghebreyesus says it is a relatively high plateau, and we're still in a perilous situation with more than 5.4 million reported cases and almost 90,000 reported deaths in the past week.
Any decline is welcome, but we have been here before. Over the past year, many countries have experienced a declining trend in cases and deaths, have relaxed public health and social measures too quickly, and individuals have let down their guard, only for those hard-won gains to be lost.
The WHO maintains that the spread of variants, increased social mixing, and the relaxation of public health measures are all factors driving transmission of the virus. Still to come, 4,000 families to benefit from small home repairs. Plus, the Social Services Minister stops by the Singing Bishop. Stay with us.
I am an overcomer. I am an overcomer. I am an overcomer.
And you? You are an overcomer. I know because you have endured and persevered through so many of life's biggest challenges.
Join us for stories like yours, stories of incredible strength, courage, and survival. Every Wednesday at 7 p.m., right here on RTV.
Journey TV.
Journey TV.
We share
life's truths.
This is our news. Welcome back. The Disaster Reconstruction Authority is hoping to help nearly 4,000 survivors of Hurricane Dorian repair their homes. Despite several setbacks, nearly 2,000 homeowners have already been assisted. Julian Gray reports.
With the Small Home Repair Program, if we can get the funding that we need, and the government has put a lot of funding behind the Small Home Repair Program, we would have, at the end of the day, we will help just under 4,000 people.
It's been nearly 2 years since Hurricane Dorian battered Abaco and Grand Bahama. Of the 6,700 residents who applied for the Small Home Repair Program, 3,735 were approved and 1,300 have been assisted already. By the end of June, that number is expected to be just shy of 3,000 homeowners, according to DRA Managing Director Catherine Forbes Smith. However, she says logistical challenges getting supplies, a pause in the program due to financial constraints, and the pandemic have all been major setbacks.
Homeowners told us, look, don't come to my house, okay? And you have to be careful because you know, there were curfews put in place, homeowners were afraid, assessors were afraid, staff members were afraid of people coming into the office, so it's been a difficult time. But like I said, when people complain and they say that they feel the process has been slow, you have to have some kind of sympathy.
Forbes Smith says while some homeowners who are earmarked for stage 3 of assistance will have to wait, those in stages 1 and 2 should get more help this summer.
All of our customer service agents who are working in the Small Home Repair Program, they have tried to reach all of these individuals. Okay, they personally are calling people to come in, get your quote, bring your quote in so that we can issue a purchase order.
The application process is primarily online, but Forbes Smith says they have had to set up offices on Grand Bahama and Abaco to help residents on the Keys and in far-flung settlements who may not have access to internet, particularly seniors and the disabled.
You are in that category and it's difficult for you to get around, please call the office.
Reporting for our news, I'm Jillian Gray.
Social Services Minister Frankie Campbell visiting Bishop Lawrence Rolls Church today, announcing to congregants that in the next fiscal budget, the foundation will be added to the Ministry of Social Services list. He also made a personal donation to the Singing Bishop's Feeding Foundation to help with purchasing groceries.
I've come, as you would have heard already, to say that in the upcoming budget, the Feeding Foundation of the Singing Bishop will be an official part of our subsistence. It means that they will become a part of our annual subsistence. And so annually, like many of the other organizations whose name I don't want to call because it's their business. They will get an annual subvention.
A few weeks ago, Roll slammed the level of assistance received from government, noting that he felt abandoned during the pandemic. Today, he expressed gratitude to Campbell, who he says pushed him to get his feeding program properly registered.
Absolutely, he was the one that pushed and pushed. In some parts of his budget, I was very mad. I was very distraught. But I don't know about no foundation. That's the release a $5,000 check. We took that $5,000 check and we registered the foundation. And the day the papers are here that this is a registered feeding foundation.
And of course, no meeting with the singing bishop is complete without a song or two. Well, Greg is back in the Weather Center, plus pausing to celebrate key healthcare workers on International Nurses Day. The details after this.
I am an overcomer. I am an overcomer. I am an overcomer.
And you? You are an overcomer. I know because you have endured and persevered through so many of life's biggest challenges.
Join us for stories like yours, stories of incredible strength, courage, and survival. Every Wednesday at 7 p.m. right here on RTV.
Journey TV.
Journey TV.
We share
life's truths.
More summer-like conditions ahead. Greg is back in the Weather Center with the details.
Thanks again, Christine, and a happy Wednesday evening, everybody. A very warm day around the islands once again as that ridge of high pressure still exists across us. Eventually, this ridge will slide out towards the east. A low pressure system is expected to develop just east of central Florida, and as that low moves out towards the northeast, that will drag a frontal boundary across the northwest Bahamas by Thursday into Friday, so some showers and thunderstorms in the forecast. That front will sag towards the south, becoming stationary across the northwest Bahamas, so we could see some showers into the weekend. Boating forecast for the northwest Bahamas tonight through tomorrow. Southeast southerly winds 10 to 15 knots, seas will be running 2 to 4 feet over the ocean, while in the central and southeastern islands we have a caution flag posted for you guys. East to southeast winds 15 to 20 knots, seas running 4 to 6 feet over the ocean. Here's a look now at your national forecast. A look now at your extended forecast through Monday. Breezy conditions expected as that front boundary moves out by the weekend. Make it a great night, everybody. Back to you, Christina.
Thanks, Greg. Well, as the world celebrates International Nurses Day, a top Pan American Health Organization official is lauding the tireless work of nurses who've been in the forefront of the fight against COVID-19. PAHO Director Dr. Carissa Etienne says the COVID-19 pandemic is a stark reminder of the vital role nurses play.
So as we commemorate today's International Day of the Nurse, let's honor the work, the sacrifice, and the contributions of nurses throughout the Americas who are helping provide life-saving care to COVID patients.
With COVID-19 cases spiking in the region, Dr. Etienne says it is important that nurses and other healthcare workers remain in the priority group for vaccinations, especially in countries like the Bahamas, where the supply is limited.
But we urge countries to make the most of limited doses by protecting health workers, including the 8.4 million nurses working in our region, and to prioritize them first.
When the Bahamas began its vaccination program in mid-March, healthcare workers were among the first groups eligible to receive the COVID-19 vaccine. Well, thank you for joining us for our news tonight. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Christina Dragovich. Have a beautiful evening, Bahamas. A new episode of the new Sawyer Boy TV show starts right now.